Peace and greetings, you guys. What's good? This is your girl Naya here. Naya Thryce in the house. What? Um, and this is gonna be my review of the Starchild Tarot. This one is being done by request. So I'm not in my usual spot to record, so sorry for any weird angles that you might get for this, but this deck is a very beautiful deck. I have the Starchild Tarot, the Akashic version. But as you can see, the box is matte, and the with the gold reflect on the inlays here. And you can that's happens all around the entire box, which I think is just lovely. And then you have some of the card images shown on the bottom of the box here. So when you open the box, here we have, sorry about that, like I said, the lighting here is not set up specifically for this, but I had some time, so I wanted to do it. The video, we are all Stardust, which I totally love and agree with. The color palette, I remember when I first saw this deck, I was kind of like, oh, it's so pastel-y, it's so pink and purple, you know, am I really gonna jive with it? But the concept of the deck itself, for me, is very much, so here's like a scarab here. So the theme of the deck, for me though, was very much like, I need this deck in my life. Now I'm going to talk about something about this deck that's very, very interesting. The gilding. The gilding is beautiful, but it looks so much prettier in real life than it does on camera. Like, I don't care if you have the best lighting equipment or whatever, it just doesn't reflect the way that it does in person. I don't know. Because I remember I was hesitant about the gilding on it, and I was like, that looks so weird on camera, but actually when I opened it in person, I was so like astounded on how beautiful. It's not like this, it's a very subtle gold, and I really like it. So I think that's a plus. So the cardstock is matte. It's, I think, 400 GCM or whatever. It is thicker cardstock. It's good. I mean, it'll definitely be a workhorse kind of deck if you need it to be. And as you can see, of course, they're not in order because I haven't. I've used it. I like this edition. I know that there's some editions that have borders on them, but this particular version does not. I prefer them this way. And it's funny because, so here's what's interesting about this deck. I kind of really struggled to figure out whether or not I wanted to purchase this deck at first. I mean, I thought it was beautiful, but it was kind of the same deal. I was like, I want a deck that's going to work for me. I'm at that place too where I just want working decks. I want decks that are going to be functional, that are going to read well, that are, that I don't have to spend 100. I mean, I have a couple of decks that I want to spend time with for personal study and personal, you know what I mean? But that's literally a handful of decks. The rest of them, I kind of just want them to work. And so I was like, how much time am I going to have to give this one for it to work? So I did a couple of readings, different kind of readings to kind of see like how it reads and stuff. And I used this one for a past life reading one time, and it gave me some very interesting subject matter came up. But I thought it made sense because, if we're all stardust and we're all about like the universe and everything, like why wouldn't we even be considering the space-time continuum and all that kind of stuff? I know, right, baby? That was my cat saying hi to y'all. And so anyways, I thought that kind of like this palette that it has, because if you look at the cards, it is very kind of like there's this grays and greens and blues. Let me bring this a little bit tighter so you can see. Now you behave. I was kind of like, man, is this, is this really going to read well or not? But when you look at most decks, they usually have some kind of color palette, don't they? So the feel of the cards are really nice. I like to handle this deck. I think it's very wonderful. And there's something about, see, now I have this theory in my head that air sign readers, like, I don't know, like if you have your sun or your moon in an air sign, that you may prefer more earthy type of decks. And that earth signs, sun or moon, may prefer ones with a more airy quality. And I know it sounds weird if you consider elemental dignities and all this other kind of stuff, but I just think our tools reflect what it is that we need to connect. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, astrology comes natural because I'm already grounded. Like, sometimes I could get too stuck, right? So astrology lifts me up into the air and it moves me. You know what I'm saying? Like the wind would move the leaves off the ground or something like that. I'm philosophizing over here. Forgive me. I'm in a mood. But I also have another Aquarius friend that I find that decks that I don't necessarily resonate with, she does. And but meanwhile, there's some decks that we actually both love together, so I guess it has a unique thing going on in between. So, but this deck, I don't know, I thought it might be too airy for me as well. And I was like, whoa, man, I'm just going to be all up in the cosmos. I'm going to be all up in space. But the symbolism is available for you if you look for it. I think there's almost like there is an airy quality to it. But I think the artwork in it is very beautiful. I think in a way it's kind of minimalistic, which I don't hate that. Like, I thought I would hate that. I'm sorry, I'm being really bad today, you guys. I thought I would really hate this minimalistic feel to it, because that's kind of what it feels like. But I find that there's just enough going on for you to get your symbolism or your story and whatnot from it. You know what I mean? Of course, these are all like the court cards. Was I doing something with the courts? Some of the names change on the major arcana. I almost forgot about that. The book is separate. Did I purchase the book separately? I don't remember. I have the book, but it's upstairs. I'm sorry. The book is a really nice read, though. I can appreciate the book. So some of the major courts change, like perspective. This is the Hangman card, which, so in a way, it kind of gives an oracle-y feel than tarot would. When you get certain cards like this, like perspective, you're like, wait, you start thinking to yourself, oh yeah, perspective, and you kind of take that word and run with it, versus seeing the Hangman and defaulting to what maybe your Hangman kind of keywords would be, like right off the bat. So it's cool because it kind of allows for this shift in perspective. I wasn't trying to do that. This shift, though, seriously, like the deck itself gives you like this shift in perspective for a lot of the majors, and even some of the minors too. I've caught different nuances of some of the minors, and I was like, oh, okay. So like, instead of the Devil card, there's an Oppression card. Here we have the Five of Wands. I like that there's cultural being represented in this deck as well. And I like that the Hierophant is not necessarily priestly at all. I like that she looks like more of a mystic in this case, and this kind of use of energy, and bringing the energy down and manifesting the energy and channeling it through her body. There's so much to the Hierophant card that I've learned over the years, and I'm just like, I can work with this Hierophant, which, because I'm a Taurus sun, the Hierophant is like a pain in the butt when it comes to like wanting to purchase a deck for, that card. But it is very beautiful. I don't know. I feel like some people either love this deck or they just don't resonate at all. Like, it's either you love it or you hate it. There's no in between. Either you use it or you don't. And it's interesting because I saw your unboxing of the what is it? The Light Your Path Oracle. Oh God, I'm saying it wrong, but I'm probably saying it wrong. But I saw it and I was like, that looks like, the Starchild Tarot. At first I was like, that looks like the Starchild Tarot, but an Oracle, I'm like, ooh, I need that because I have the Starchild Tarot. And I actually watched the whole unboxing and like some of the keywords that were used, and I'm like, that's actually very complimentary to this deck. But like, you see, there's 2 wands, but you see how like there's so much other things going on. You could really like tap in, like, let me see. Is it different? No, I know there was a point about one of the cards I wanted to make, but like this 3 of Wands, look at this 3 of Wands. Like, seriously, you can't tell me that this 3 of Wands doesn't make you want to go out and explore. And, even if you're by yourself, butt booty naked, that you will just travel the galaxy by your lonesome. And it might be a hard journey, but it's like, it looks like it's so worth it. Right? Isn't that kind of like poetic, the way that it just kind of like describing the imagery kind of makes the card come to life here, Here's that's the King of Crystals. Here, the Page of Swords. Here's the 9 of Wands. And so there is also this use of sacred geometry within the cards too, if you can like see it right there. It's so beautiful. Like, I can stare at this 9 of Wands forever. And I definitely don't get with the way that the wands are built up, I get the gist of like what a traditional 9 of Wands would be in consideration to, but it's almost like you're in the place of that figure, like in the Rider-Waite-Smith, like you're almost in the place of that figure, and you're looking through a portal that looks like it could be potentially beneficial or potentially ominous. Like, it's really all in what's going on, maybe without the rest of the reading or whatever, but whatever is going on, there's that point of like, you need to, and the thing about this too is like the mandala itself is indicative of taking time to kind of take a breath and recharge. You know what I mean? Even the fact that it's even present in the card, it's like that's the point at where this like face would be in a situation. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like reading the cards as I'm going. I apologize. I don't mean to. We'll be here all day if I do that. So like, here's a Magician. I know that you can barely see the figure in there, but it's just like all the elements are present. You have the crystals, the earth. There's more sacred geometry in there. I'm not sure if you can quite catch it, but it's in there. And I think every time you find one, it just makes it so much more meditative as a deck. It's not like, this is not a deck I would use to do 5-10 minute readings. For me personally, I feel like I can go places with this deck. I can traverse the universe with it, and so I can spend an hour going through each card, what it means, how it make how does it pertain to the situation and things like that. Like, this is the Universe card. I love this Universe card. It's just so pretty. There's like all kinds of geometry happening in there, and I just don't know if you can catch it in there, but like the pyramid in the back, like the solidity of the pyramids and the solidity of like the World card, how it pertains to a culmination of something. And then the figure that's here is, you know, she's at that place where she's kind of gotten to the peak of her awareness, like where this orb of light is coming off the top of her head. Like she's gone through all the chakras, and she's there now at like this higher consciousness, but it had to go through the body, like, you know what I mean, through the solidity. Anyways, okay, girl, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just riffing over here. I'm having one of those days. Page of Crystals. And, you know, something else about this deck too that I initially was turned off from was the photo collage thing. I don't typically resonate with photo collage decks. It's not an artistic thing that I, you know, like, I can appreciate the art. Let me say it that way. I can appreciate the art, but as a reader, sometimes it does something that like triggers off my intuition, if you will. But this one doesn't have that feel. I feel like the photo collage kind of thing actually works very seamlessly in this, and I think that the colors themselves are very evocative of just it's all very high vibration, if you will. Like, I just feel like that's what the color palette suggests. And, you know, like, this is the Tower card. And, yeah, there's lightning, but, like, the top of the lightning, I mean, the top of the tower is not coming off. But I don't see this always. There's a lot of people who don't like seeing the tower because it's like, oh, you know, things are going to get shaken up, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, when I see this tower, I personally see like some kind of sanctuary, you know, like your sanctuary, and there's brainstorming occurring, and that there's going to be some point where there's going to be a release of this creative power. And oh yeah, you're going to release all that creative power, right, little baby? I love you. And I'm almost done, okay? And then we have the Two of Cups, and the Two of Cups has the rainbow in there, and they're all blissful about life and whatever. So this, I mean, some of the the imagery will definitely pull out some kind of way different nuances, like that rainbow in the Two of Cups. That's not something I would typically say in a Two of Cups situation, like, oh, it's gonna be all rainbows and sunshine. I don't say that for the Two of Cups, because the Two of Cups for me is just more about bridging the gap. So I mean, a rainbow makes sense, right? Because it's it's a water element, and the rainbow is bridging the two cups together. See, I can use that terminology versus the rainbow itself. But again, I don't hate it, you know what I'm saying? Because there is a coming together of two emotional bodies through whatever, you know, maybe they have to weather the storm. Actually, the rainbows, I don't think I've ever pulled this one for a reading, now that I think about it, in using this deck, because now as I'm contemplating on the rainbow, I'm thinking to myself, well, yeah, you know, two people coming together, like, when do rainbows occur? After a storm. So you have to come together, back together. It's not necessarily just a happy thing. You know what I mean? Ooh, oh, that's good. That's so good. Okay. Okay, now I might have to pull this deck out and start using it again, just because I haven't pulled her out in a while. So we have the Eight of Swords here. And like I said, we're never going to get through this if I just keep stopping. And so here's the Ten of Crystals. Again, more kind of sacred geometry here, which I love that. It's so good. Three of Cups. And I know, you know, the Three of Cups is like the celebration card. And, you know, I think for any modern mystic that's out there now that's doing anything, you see the moon, that a full moon, you're like, yes, like, you know, hey, what you guys going on? Like, I think the internet busts wide open every time there's a full moon, because people are just like, yes, girl, what you doing this full moon? What you doing? Like, all the groups are like, what you doing? And I'm like, I don't even respond because the internet is blowing up because the full moon is coming. You know what I'm saying? So I totally get, as for a modern mystic, that this would be a celebration card. So I love it. I love the Ace of Crystals. I think it's so beautiful. The sun. The sun I had to get around for a little bit just because of color palette. But I actually like the sun card here. But there's no face in the sun. There's no naked children. There's no... there's no... What else do you usually see in the sun card? Or the solar twins. You might see the solar twins sometimes in the sun card. But I actually like that there's not a human figure in this card. There is not. Okay, I was double checking. There's something real tiny in there. And then here's like the moon card. So you see the moon, which this one, I really enjoy like the moon phases that you can see around the moon. I think that's really cool. And are we still in focus yet? So we're still recording? Yes, okay. 10 of Cups. 4 of Swords. So what I like about this 4 of Swords is like the sky changes. The sky is like dark as opposed to like everything being like purple and aqua. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like 4 of Swords. We're talking about kind of subconscious-y stuff because it's like the rest card. You're supposed to rest. Or truce. You're supposed to chill for a minute. You're supposed to pause and take a break. So if you ever like see this card in this deck, you're like, wait. You actually do pause because you're like, whoa, where's this really, you know, contrasting color coming from here? 8 of Wands, 10 of Swords. So, of course, the Swords. So that is such a pretty 10 of Swords, though. I'm sorry. I can look at that all day. For real, for real. Maybe I should have used this deck when I read myself the other day. Because this is almost like conscious breakthrough and a departure of ego to get to the spiritual self, I feel like, or to tap into a higher part of yourself. Anyways, okay, again, going through the thing. 3 of Crystals. Okay, the random cats in the universe backdrop makes me a little weirded out, but I've gotten used to it and I'm okay with that. So here's the 7 of Wands, Queen of Swords. I love the sky. See, I can stare at these images just because of all like the things going on in the background, and it feels so meditative to me that's why I keep stopping and just talking about the cards that I'm looking at, because I'm just like, ooh, and look at that, and look at this, because your eye kind of goes all over the card. It doesn't really get really too stuck in one spot for too long. You kind of are like observing the entire, like, this is such a pretty 7 of Crystals. I don't know, I just think that's so gorgeous. Here's the Chariot. Hello, a unicorn. If you don't get this deck for anything else but this dang unicorn, okay? Because you are magic. You watching this right now, you are magic too. 4 of Cups. Siamese cat. Now here's, you know what's very interesting about this card? Again, see, I'm just vibing. I hope you don't mind. Is that Siamese cats are extremely vocal. And the 4 of Cups is almost like this passive, moody, kind of meh, I don't want to do it kind of thing. But Siamese cats are actually kind of pushy, to be honest. So there could be a relation there. My cats are half Siamese, and they talk a lot. So I don't know what would be going on if they were full-blown Siamese cats, seriously. Serenity. So Serenity here, this is the Hermit card. Is Serenity. Yes. Which I really like. so much because I'm looking, when you look at this card, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up at all, but it almost feels like she's doing astral projection just so that she could be alone in this place, like a landscape, or like a dream world, or her meditative place that she goes to. And my number is, I'm a hermit card. I'm a hermit moon, so I really love looking at the hermit cards as well. This Knight of Swords, I like this Knight of Swords too. I mean, of course, you can't tell right off the bat, like there's no horses and stuff like that, but he's about to go down a wormhole for sure. For sure. This deck calms me down. I don't know. Like I said, I think there's just this beautiful vibe that's been infused into this deck that even if you only ever used it for yourself and you feeling some kind of anxiety or something, that maybe the color palette would just help to, I don't know, bring it up, bring it down. I don't know, whatever, align your chakras or something. I don't know. I don't know how to explain the feeling that it gives me, other than I feel a sense of ease. I feel a sense of calm. I feel particularly meditative when I use this deck. Like, even if I'm not in a mood, like for example, if you read a lot, sometimes you can get into a place where you're kind of tired or drained, and I feel like this deck kind of gives me life. So if I use this deck in between, like let's say two or three readings, and then I pull this deck out and I pull a couple of cards just to look at, just for the sake of looking at it, it actually kind of, woosah, it'll be all right, calm down, these are not, release what's not yours, get back to center, and get aligned, whatever, shake it off, shake off this spiritual funk that you've picked up while you were reading other people, and let it go. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I feel like this deck cleanses me or something. Like, it sounds so weird, like, how you cleanse a crystal, like that's how I feel this deck feels for me when I use it and I work with it. Oh, Awakening, sorry, this is Judgment here. And then there's the Lovers. And this deck is just it's so good. Here we have Transformation, which is the Death card. I think it's just lovely. Seven of Swords. I'm gonna just move this stack out the way. Then we have Starseed, which is the Fool card. Sorry. Five of Crystals. I love these aqua greens and the purples together. 1, 2, 3, 4 of Wands. Then we have the Star, which I love that this star kind of has the expansion, networking vibe that a Lenormand's star card kind of sort of does. Temperance, 2 of Swords, 9 of Crystals, 6 of Swords, 6 of Wands, Page of Cups, Queen of Crystals, the High Priestess, which is a lovely Priestess card. It's so good. I even like this Queen of Crystals because Usually the Queen of Crystals is always facing to the left, so it's kind of refreshing to see her facing right and actually doing something that she would probably be caught doing rather than, you know, staring at a coin. And then the High Priestess here. Because who doesn't love High Priestess cards? It's so good. Okay. Here's the Ace of Wands. Here's the Emperor. And my cat is crunching in the background, so if you hear crunching, it's my cat. Sorry. I am downstairs. I'm in his space. Six of Cups. Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands. With, oh, Queen of Wands. Oh, I'm losing it. Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands. Two of Crystals. Three of Swords. So it's also a very, I think it's a very truthful deck, but I also think it is gentle. So we're not throwing around these super harsh words. It kind of keeps people comfortable. So depending on the temperament of your clients and things like that, you know, this could be a good deck to use for something a little bit more gentle without losing something. I like my decks to feel balanced, right? I feel like this deck, it has balance in what it provides because it provides the truth without it sounding harsh. So sometimes I personally need that assist because I can be very blunt sometimes. And so sometimes, depending on what I'm picking up, like I said, from a client, if I know that they may struggle with hearing things too harshly, I'm not going to just change, you know, I'm not just going to change my personality for it, but the different decks that I use will evoke different use of words for me. And so that helps me as a reader to deliver the message that it will be well received from the client. Does that make sense? So for me, I find this deck to help soften my language without losing any of the substance. Personally, that's what I get from it. So here's Akashic Records, which is the 22nd card, or of the Major Arcana, excuse me. That's the Wheel of Fortune, and there's a sacred geometry in it. King of Cups, we're almost done. The Seven of Cups, the Five of Swords, the Five of Cups, the Nine of Cups, and the 10 of Wands. So that's the flip through portion of this deck, and then I will give you a size comparison in case you're curious about that. So this is the Rider Waite in the 10 size. So here is the card in comparison to it, if you can see that. Okay. I have another deck here which is pretty standard size. Okay, so this guy is Tarot de Ozarks, which is a pretty standard not playing card, but tarot size. So it's your standard size deck, basically. Like, it's just the corner rounder is thicker on this one than this one. The cardstock is definitely superior to anything you're gonna get from, like, let's say tarot card wise, like from Los Scarabeo or whatever. Like, that's not the business. But I know you like to riffle shuffle too, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try. If I do, no, hold on, I'm messing myself up here. So I don't typically like certain decks. I don't like to riffle shuffle, but I mean, it's a little bit thicker cardstock, but the tarot cards are not overly huge either. So I feel like if you like your decks to be a little thinner because of that, that part that I'm not able to catch with this. I can do it with thinner decks. I can't really do that that part. I actually have never riffle shuffled this deck before, so forgive me for looking kind of sloppy with it. I don't riffle shuffle all of my decks, so come on. I just can't get that. I don't want to get that bend in there. I'm sorry, I can't do it. You could do it. You could definitely break it in if you really, 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 really wanted to. But because the cardstock is thicker, you know, there's like that bend definitely is like, it wants to keep its shape. So you would have to kind of break them in. But I mean, I don't think you couldn't riffle shuffle with them if you wanted to. I'm just not accustomed to riffle shuffling certain decks, so they're not broken in for it. Does that make sense? At least, so this is practically, as much as I've used it, it's practically still like looks new. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so this has been kind of my review on the Starchild Tarot. I hope that, you know, this helps you in some way, and that, you know, if you decide to go through with it, that it finds you well and it